Welcome to Afternoon Express. Today we channel our African pride with Dr. Hleze Kunju as he shares some notable ways in which Africa has influenced the rest of the world. In the kitchen, we're going to make injera, a super healthy Ethiopian flatbread, and then Tumi is visiting the Sand people at the embassy of Kwatu, and then live in studio we have Maji and the Ilingomso Letu dancers. Africa has come a long way over the years, and we have so many reasons to celebrate and be proud of this beautiful continent, from the much-loved sounds of Amapiano to various literature, art and cultural experiences being shared throughout the world. So in celebration of Africa Day, we've invited Dr. Kunju from the University of Cape Town to talk us through some notable ways in which Africa has influenced the rest of the world. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back. You've been here a few years ago.
Yes, I have. Thank you very much for having me again.
So I'd love to ask you, as an African, I'm really, really proud to be African, but I'd love to know from you, what are some of the ways we've influenced the globe, like particularly in the last, I'd say 10 to 20 years?
All right. Okay. Well, I'll start with maybe the music.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yes, because Amapiano is very well known everywhere. The music is there, and I think the music has always been there.
Yes.
People like Miriam Makeba, Abu Brahim,
Yuma Sekela, yes.
And they've been all over the world and really influenced the world. And even currently, Abdullah Ibrahim, who's just had a tour in the country that I got to see some of his performances, is based in Germany, just because of the influence they have around the world. But also literature. If we're talking about people like Abu Wole Soyinka, Chino Achebe, and many others, and the ones that are still active as well, Abu Professor Zeksimdam, they've been also all around the world, really working in different parts of the world. And obviously I will mention Professor Russell Kashula because he was my supervisor. He does many other things, but he also coined a term called technoricha. So he combined four words, which is technology, the orality and orality, the hearing and the talking, and then literature. And then when you combine all those, he came up with what he calls technoricha, which means we're looking at, because in our African literature used to be oral literature. But now, of course, things are changing. We talk about the fourth industrial revolution, so which means we do need to take some of that orality and use technology to disseminate and distribute it. So yes, that's what he calls. And that is a term that's used all over the world, and a lot of scholars around the globe are using that term and researching all the oral literature that can now be transformed into digital, can be digitized. And especially now, I can struggle to count the number of things like audiobooks that are available in African languages. So it encompasses things like that. And obviously with the use of TikTok now, we can use our literature and disseminate it through that.
Aside from literature, aside from music, what else is exciting when it comes to Africa being represented globally?
Should we talk about renewable energy, despite that we have things called load shedding? There is the desert project, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing properly, which is based in the Sahara Desert, which was founded in 2003, which focuses on creating renewable energy for the whole world. So I think that's very, very exciting. And about a month ago in Namibia, they found an estimation of 10 billion barrels of oil in Mopane village in Namibia, and I think that's probably going to benefit the rest of the world, that amount of. So I think those are exciting things that makes our young people excited, know that we're not just here, but we are very globally engaged.
Yes. Yeah. What's your biggest sense of pride being African? I see that question lights you up.
Yes. I think Ubuntu goes a long way, and I think it's something that as African we take ownership in it, and I feel like I wish we could all take pride in it. So wherever we go, and not go and conform. When you go to Germany and then try to conform, I think you can go there, be the African, and still live within the parameters of Ubuntu. And I think that's one thing that sets us apart, the world, when it comes to, humanity as Ubuntu. Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Gumtu, Gabantu. That's the definition of
Umuntu.
Gumtu.
Which means?
Ngabantu. You are because
we are because of others.
Yes,
beautiful.
Others. Yes.
That is lovely. Yeah. And then I want to ask you, because we've got, living in Africa, living in South Africa in particular, we've got this rich diversity of language. How is that impacting the rest of the world?
In many prominent universities in the world, there's an African languages department or an African studies. Yes, in Harvard. Harvard has an African languages department. They teach African languages there. Your Swahili, your isiZulu is there. In Boston University, and then the directors there is Dr. Zoli Swamali from the Eastern Cape, from here, and is in Boston in the US. Teaching isiXhosa and isiZulu. And there's many more in Germany, Bayreuth University, Leipzig University, they all have this. And I think that comes because of our multicultural and multilingual nature, because it's not just us. And I think we have a quite unique case, that we have all these languages, and I think the rest of the world wants to see how we approach that. And so I think that has influenced the rest of the world, because they want to see what we do in Africa, and they go and implement it as well. They also think of the mother tongue-based education that we talk about. So they look at what we do as well, and they try to implement it there as well.
I think if I were to sum all of this up, I'd say that I guess the rest of the world is beginning to realize that Africa is more than a continent, and that it's a feeling.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Doctor. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. So John Hemingway once said, "If I've ever seen magic, it has been in Africa." I can't agree more. Let's take a moment to celebrate this marvelous continent that we call home. On social media, we would like to know from you, what is something that makes you proud to be South African? Leave your comments on our social media pages, and remember to use the hashtag Afternoon Express. Stay tuned, because after the break, we'll be making some healthy Ethiopian flatbread.
Our pharmacies are on the front line of healthcare. This is Pharmacy of the Week.
Goeiedag, ek is Marinus van der Rijst, ek is 'n apteker en ek is deel van the Local Choice Noordmet span. Ons is 'n klein nuwe apteekie. Ons het gister net ons eerste verjaarsdag gevier, maar ons het al diep spore getrap in die lewens van mense hier in die omgewing. Soos julle weet, maak een swaalkie nie 'n somer nie, en ek het 'n ongelooflike toegewyde span wat saam met my werk. Elke pasiënt word op hulle harte gedra en hulle het 'n koneksie met elke persoon. Aptekerswese is nie regtig net om 'n pilletjie vir 'n kopseer te gee nie. Ons werk is baie meer diep gewortel as fundamentele beginsels van gesondheid, sorg en gemeenskapsdiens. Ons het die voorreg om elke dag met individue wat in verskillende stadiums van seisoen in hulle lewens te werk. Sommiges is in oorwinning en ander is in 'n stryd. Ons is betrokke in elkeen van hulle se deel. Aptekerswese is om leiding te neem, ondersteuning te gee en bemagtiging van kennis in elke persoon se reis na beter gesondheid. To be brave to me means to stand up for what is right and to speak out against injustice. A big thank you to all these people of the sponsors of the Brave campaign for their commitment to bravery in every aspect.
Pharmacy of the Week, proudly brought to you by Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave.
Suffering from a blocked or runny nose, body aches, congestion, pain and fever. Today, be brave in the face of colds and flu. Use Carenza Paracy. Carenza Paracy. Relieve cold and flu symptoms this winter. Carenza Paracy. Proudly brought to you by Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave.
Express yourself. Welcome back. Now, Africa boasts a diverse number of cuisines, and food, it continues to be one of our top exports. We are taking it to East Africa today with injera, an Ethiopian flatbread that is not only delicious to eat, but also good for you. With me in the kitchen today is Senat Mokanen and Chef Tota Gatlangwana from Addis in Cape. Did I pronounce your name correctly? Senat.
Yes, that's fine.
Senat, yes. And you guys are going to be taking us through basically what Ethiopian food is all about and what this injera bread really is. So could you just maybe in a quick sentence describe to us what is Ethiopian cuisine all about?
Ethiopian cuisine, all about it is that the most important thing is the injera, the teff injera. We grow up with this, and when you come out of Ethiopia, you substitute it with either grains and so on. But in Ethiopia, it is teff, and it is a very, very healthy food. These days, it has become superfood, and South Africa is growing it, actually. It grows in Bloemfontein.
Wow.
That's where we buy it from. We don't import. That is the one thing only we don't import from Ethiopia. The rest of the spices and all that, we do import.
That's wonderful. So, Tokaga, I see you've got the teff there.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
I just want to break it down before we start making what we're doing. You were telling us about the teff, and this is the grain you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's the grain, and it's a very fine grain, and then you make a flour, and then after that you add yeast and you ferment it for 2-3 days, and it comes out like this.
What goes into making our injera
Okay,
flatbread?
first we have to mix it.
And this is that teff that we were talking about that's been
flour.
ground up now. It's teff flour.
Yes.
Okay.
And then this is our yeast, the one we use.
Okay. And this is just normal yeast that you have in the
Yeah,
store?
so it is normally yeast, but you can use just fresh yeast,
Okay.
or you can use the day before what we baked from. We keep on like that because we are every day
I get
baking,
you.
so
Okay.
that's how it works. Yeah.
So whatever that's left over, some of that left over, you
Yes.
add to there to still
Yes.
help with the
Yeah,
fermentation.
that's exactly
Perfect.
what
Okay.
we did in here.
Okay.
Then when it's mixed well, you can put your water.
And because I see it's not like flour, normal bread flour, it won't be glutinous, so it doesn't need to. It
Yeah,
won't
there's
stick.
no gluten,
Ah.
so it doesn't stick. That is a bit of a problem in injera because you can't make wrap or anything with it. You can tear it and you just eat it immediately.
That's wonderful.
So, but when we make it at home, we don't just mix with spoon. We do it, you need to
hands.
knead it as bread.
Awesome. So we've made the batter now with the
Yes,
water, the
yes.
injera, and the yeast.
And the yeast,
the
yes.
teff.
Yes.
Then what happens at this point once we've made the batter?
So we keep it about 3 days so that it can ferment, and then after it's ready to be baked.
Okay. So literally about 3 days, and then it's ready.
Yes.
So it's going to have that sour flavor.
That's our taste, yes.
Okay, can you show us how it's done then on that
Okay.
plate? And I see you've actually brought in your own contraption for this because you need a nice big round flat pan. Can we use any of our own flat pans at home?
You can use non-stick pan.
Okay.
And that's just like a pancake. You can just bake it that way. So that is the way how to do it at home. But when it is in Ethiopia, it's actually we don't use this metal one. We use clay. At Addis also we use a clay disc. Yeah, a clay disc.
Okay,
So-
and what is the significance of injera in Ethiopian food? Is it something that is a traditional, is it a spiritual thing, or is it just one of those foods that's...
No, it's just the normal food, and it is a very ancient.
Wow. Okay, I need to come back to that. Did you guys catch that? So it's important that when you pour it on, it has...
It
it's
has to
done
be
in-
around. I'm sorry about this.
Okay. So the intention is, because
Is
it's
to make
actually
it
quite
round
high.
and flat, yeah.
Okay. And it starts bubbling up immediately. I mean,
Yeah,
Yes.
that is why.
Well,
You see, fermentation, that's what makes it this bubbly thing, all these dots.
okay,
We
perfect.
call it ice. So
Awesome. So now
yeah.
we've made our injera. It's cooked. It's ready. What do we eat it with? What do we enjoy it with?
This is spinach, this is red lentils.
Red lentils. And is this
And
would
then,
this be under the
it will
spice?
just go, like at home, it will just go straight on the injera.
Okay.
And this one is chickpea. And it's turmeric, which made it yellow. And this is chicken.
So you were mentioning that there's different kinds. There's the vegan, there's the spicy. So when you obviously are enjoying this, you choose whatever works for you. But here you've brought us a selection of the different kinds.
Just selection of something. Like in that one, we have lamb, but I think we just forgot to do it. Yeah.
And while you're doing that, because you're still dishing up the plate for us, I see you've got some that are rolled up, but you also have something here that's been burning while we've been shooting here. What exactly is the significance of this? What is this?
So Ethiopian coffee ceremony, it is very important. So it's not about the full ceremony, but I just brought frankincense. It is always, it gives you a good feeling. It smells, it relaxes you, and we are a little bit nervous now, so it will relax us.
Well, I understand that, but I just want to check it. Look at that. So it's cooked to perfection. And is this considered ready?
Yeah.
Can I take a bite?
Oh, yeah,
of
sure.
this. So how do I eat it if I was to?
So if you, just we always take our own rolls, and then you just tear, and then just.
Delicious.
Good.
That is mouth-watering. South Africa, if you want to get your hands on this recipe, make sure to head over to Afternoon Express for the full ingredient list while I continue to stuff my mouth. This is gorgeous.
That looks delicious to me. Thank you so much. So African traditional dances hold an immense cultural significance and are a source of pride for Africa. We are so excited here at Afternoon Express to welcome Ilingom Soletu dancers from Kailicha to the Loft. Sisa, this is your group, and I've seen some behind the scenes and they are incredible. What inspired the group?
The troupe was founded in 2016.
Okay.
21 March by me.
Okay.
The reason to form this troupe, kids out there in the street, they don't have nothing to do.
Yeah.
So at the very same time, I'm a school dropout. I dropped out of school on grade 10.
Okay.
Then I saw so many people out there, they are not doing anything. Some kids, when they come back to school, they don't have something to do. So I created this troupe. It first started on campus dance.
Okay.
Then we focused on campus dance. Then after, I saw so many talented outside there. At the very same time, I'm a traditional dancer. So I recruit some more people. We do also have girls here in the troupe. My troupe is accommodate 30 plus minus 30 members.
You have 30 members
yes,
in total?
30 members in total.
That's amazing.
So we created Tswana dance. And Xhosa dance, some music, songs from Mama Mbiren Makeba, songs from Zahara, a lot of people there out there. We are creating our own song at the very same time. So that's why I created this troupe, and we also have our after-school program where we help kids with school assignments and school works. At the very same time, we are also having our giving back to the community program where we do soup kitchens, helping kids with school with school stationaries and other kids. They're not having shoes to wear at the school, so we also help them. Yeah, that's how we do.
Sisa, you are an angel. Thank you. And, you know, I'd love to ask you, do you think that if you had someone like you back in the day when you were in grade 10 to do what you're doing, do you think you would have finished school?
I think I would.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're doing God's work. I think you're doing angel work, and we just want to acknowledge the work that you're doing and say thank you so much, because from what you're telling us, you are changing the lives of people every single day. So thank you for that. Now, Anele, I'd love to ask you, what kind of joy does being in this group bring to you in your life?
This group brings me a lot of joy. I like being in this group. I enjoy. A lot of things happens. We have going through big challenges, small challenges, strong challenges, and weak challenges. Yeah, I'm very happy to be in this group.
Because the dancing brings you joy, right? Because it's the one thing we know in Africa and the rest of the world. It is music and dancing that brings us together, and sport. But music, dancing, and sport, you know, you can feel that in your body. So thank you, guys. I know that you've got two types of dances that you focus on. What are we going to be seeing now?
You are going to see a Tswana dance now.
A Tswana dance.
Yeah,
okay,
Tswana
great.
Dance.
Thanks, guys. Take it away.
Thank you very much.
Attention, all you passionate young chefs in the making. Are you between the ages of 13 and 17? Do you love making magic in the kitchen? Then this is your chance to shine on TV. Enter to be a contestant on the Tastemaster SA Junior, made with love by Clover, and stand a chance to win 150,000 Rand. WhatsApp a video showing us your baking skills or enter on the tastemaster.co.za. Entries close 31st May. T's and C's apply.
Welcome back. Now, if you ask any South African how they will celebrate Africa Day, the answer is likely to include something meaty and over the coals. So how does a juicy steak with a creamy mushroom sauce sound? It sounds delicious. But if you are lactose intolerant and its horrible side effects are getting in the way of you enjoying your creamy mushroom sauce, then Clover No Lac Full Cream Fresh Milk comes to your rescue. Friend, you are saying that people can enjoy dairy again with Clover No Lac because we're going to be using it as our sauce on top of our meat.
That's exactly it. Full stop.
So you don't have to not include your friends there. You can definitely include them, but just make sure to use the Clover No Lac in there.
It's a great product to use, especially if you're entertaining guests celebrating Africa Day today. But it starts off with the steak, and that's going to start giving us the start of our sauce.
Awesome.
So we've already started searing off the steak. And you can see the nice amount of caramelization that we've got on top there.
You're definitely vetted, because for me, if a steak is done right, it means it does have that caramelization.
Yeah.
If a steak doesn't have that and it's brown and it's bland, it means there's no flavor. So for me, you've really definitely started. And this right here is also flavor.
This is a part of the magic, you know, and a lot of people then move this aside and start on a new pan. What's the point? Keep it in the same pan. It also saves on the dishes, which is always a plus. So into the same pan, I'm going to add some chopped onions, right? And then just a quick grating of fresh garlic.
And while you're doing that, friend, I just want to check, which steak did you use this time?
So today we've chosen sirloin, which is one of my favorites to do because naturally it has a lot less fat than other meats, super tender, but it also, of course, depends on how you cook it. So we've done about 3 to 4 minutes aside, which will give you about a medium rare.
Okay.
And that's where you sort of want the sirloin to be nice and pink in the inside.
Some stuff.
So we saute that in over there. And then what I'm going to do, so a lot of people make a slurry with their flour after the sauce has been brought together. I'm going to do it in the pan. And what I love about this is it sort of toasts the flour and then again enriches the sauce and gives it that nutty, savory note.
Yes, and that's the thing that people forget, that it comes with the levels of cooking, because what you're doing is you're cooking out the flour so you don't have that flour taste, but also toasting it up so you get that nuttiness.
Exactly. So
right.
I'm going to go in with our mushrooms and then just toss that together. And then we obviously need something to bring this together.
Yes.
And that's where you come in.
This is where I come in, and we are using the Clover No Lac Full Cream Fresh Milk that is lactose free. So for all the people who struggle with those symptoms, who struggle with the bloating and the nausea, you don't have to worry about it, because you can enjoy dairy again. And obviously it's a great source of that calcium and the vitamin C. Let me know when it's the right time to go in, my friend, because I think we are almost ready. Because in essence what we've done is we've toasted all the ingredients together, and now we're baking the sauce and allowing all that moisture. So I'm going to quickly gooi in. You'll tell me when. Let's go with that. And it also actually deglazes the pan as well.
Yeah. And with the flour in there, it's going to thicken beautifully. Okay. I think you can put in a little bit more to me.
And obviously, depending on the type of sauce you're going for, if you want a nice thicker sauce, you're more than welcome to add a little and just add as you go. But if you want a nice loose sauce that just goes all over, you can add your liquid and just loosen it up with as much milk as you need.
That's precisely the point with that, Tooms. But what you'll notice is that I've gone with my mushrooms quite chunky.
I see.
And a lot of people chop them quite finely, but I like, especially when you're pairing it with a nice robust steak, we've added them quite chunky. But I actually want to take you through the rub that we've used. Okay. Because seasoning is obviously very important in our steak preparation while this cooks together. So we've got some coriander seeds, which is super South African, bringing in those sort of biltong flavors in a way. Dried thyme and coffee granules.
Coffee?
Yes, coffee. Now, coffee is amazing with steak. It's not a sort of a traditional flavor combination, but it really brings out that robustness in the steak.
I have a hint of that coffee that you can smell, but definitely the onions, the garlic, and that coriander that you're talking about in that rub. And it's all just coming together so wonderfully, so quickly even.
And I think that's where I'm going to leave it, Toons, because I don't want it to get too thick.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pour that over the steak and I'm going to enjoy this.
Well, you'll definitely be enjoying that with me. And now that's how you can enjoy dairy again without any of those side effects of being lactose intolerant. You can get the full recipe for this dish on afternoonexpress.co.za.
Say goodbye to nausea and cramps and say hello to delicious freedom with Nolax range of lactose-free milk and yogurt. Be free with lactose-free.
We are from Africa and we are proud of our heritage. We decided to send Tumi to a place known for honoring some of the oldest recorded inhabitants of Africa, the San. Let's take a look.
An Africa Day celebration is not complete without recognizing the oldest known inhabitants of Africa and possibly the world, the San. Their existence dates back at least 20,000 years with a footprint in countries such as Botswana, Namibia, and Angola. Paying homage to the San culture is the Kwatu Nature Reserve in Azerfontein. Their mission is to recognize the immense value of the San folk by enabling them to share and reclaim their heritage in their own way.
Right, Bukia. Good morning.
How are you? Bianca, thank you so much for having me here. Can you tell us a bit more about the relationship between Kwatu and the San community and some of the developments that have happened because of this collaboration?
30 years ago, a Swiss anthropologist got together with some San elders. She at that time had a huge interest in the culture that was about to go extinct. So the San elders was from organization WIMSA, Western Indigenous Minorities of Southern Africa, and they got together to say that I want to help you telling your story to tourism, because that platform would love to hear your story. This 840 hectare piece of land was in the market for sale, and we purchased this land. The first 5 years, it was getting rundown farm buildings, old wheat farm, to what we've seen today. Here we are 30 years later, telling our story to the world about preserving culture and history and our language.
It's wonderful to hear the story of the San people. Do you feel like there's something more that the world needs to know about the San?
Taking care of the land will take care of you. And that's how our ancestors have been living for generations and hundreds of years on this piece of land that we call home.
How has the presence of Kwatu enhanced the lives of the San people who are still on this land?
It is part of uplifting the community. It is helping San people to be themselves and telling their own stories. It is also helping us with our training program, and then also to share to the world what the San people really values in their culture and their beliefs. And then it also helps us to be confident. It's almost like a stepping stone for the young people to know how to behave or what to do when they get to the outside world, and also to support San people with the small things that they do, like the cool art that we have here with all the paintings and the artworks, and now they're doing their art, so that is what Kwatu does for the community.
What important values have been implemented here at the Heritage Center as well as at the Nature Reserve in honor of the San people?
So it's all about looking after our people. It is acknowledging the San people. It is keeping the natural heritage. It is about belonging. It is about sharing and respect.
Now, Nashada, in the African cultures, we have different ways of doing this, but do you have any gestures or phrases that you can share with me from the San culture?
Oh, we have a lot. I can say 2 or 1. So sometimes our elders says that it's something that says your heritage or your culture, it is your identity, it is something that represents you.
How did you become a part of the Kwatu team?
I was supposed to come here only for 8 months training, and then after training, I was chosen to work as a staff member, and then now I've been doing guiding almost 10 years.
Can you tell us a bit more about who the San people are and where they originate from?
Today there is 13 different groups, whereby it is either a Kwe, a Kumani, Naru, Haingom. And then San people are originally from the Southern Africa. So in Southern Africa, you will find it most of the San communities in Botswana. And then the second biggest, you will find it in Namibia. And the last biggest here in South Africa. Only in the Northern Cape, in Kimberley, you find the Kru and the Kwe. And in Kalahari, you will find the Komani San community.
And is there a special message that you'd like to share with the world?
I'm happy that you guys have come visited Patu. Please, if you go back, tell others so that they also come and visit us.
They say you learn about your future by looking at your past. And what a special way to celebrate where we're going by honoring where we come from. So from me here at Kwatu Nature Reserve, Happy Africa Month.
Welcome back. So we've all heard that happiness is an inside job, right? And that in keeping with the topic of pride, we have decided to take some time out to discuss what self-pride means to us and how this can cultivate an attitude of contentment without having to seek it externally. So I'd love to know from both of you, what does self-pride mean?
Look, I think I've expressed it in a couple of ways. And one of the ways as a chef for me is being proud not only of my heritage, so much so that I show it in my food.
Yes.
There's a lot of chefs in the world everywhere, but I like to specialize in Afrofusion because I feel like our food has so much of a story to tell. And I'm not just talking about South African food, I'm talking about food throughout the continent of Africa. So that's one of the ways I express my pride in my culture, my heritage, my identity through the food, because I get to share with people what we get to enjoy as a continent. And then people then realize how amazing African cuisine actually is.
Yes, oh, that's beautiful to me. And for you, Doctor?
What works for me is sort of going back to my roots in whatever area. So, for example, in the intellectual space, so for me, it was a huge difference. I did some research on the intellectual heritage, particularly of the Eastern Cape, but which is of Africa.
Yes.
And to discover so much that was done back in the 1800s, 1900s, and a lot of it is what we are still trying to do now. That really boosted me and my pride in a positive way.
Yeah.
And that research became, it turned into a documentary, which was done by a former colleague of mine, Dr. Alet Skoen. And we documented that, and then we showed it to our students. And also I could see what it did to them, you know, because they kind of come to university with this mentality that we are the first ones to come in this space. We are trying to, but to see actually there are people before us who did way much more than we are doing now. It really lifted them up. So back to our roots, know where you come from, and then so you know clearly where you're going.
I love that, Doctor. It's a complex one, though, isn't it? Like, know where you come from, especially when you come from a place like South Africa. And I speak about myself personally. When I think about self-pride, I have to say the pride that makes me feel the most joyous isn't kind of like the one that is closest to my nucleus in terms of like my parents. So because I come from just a melting pot of cultures, and so my Malaysian heritage is quite significant, but it doesn't give me as much pride and joy as being South African. And so that's always interesting for me. There's like the individual and then there's the collective. And I think the collective pride, like when South Africa does something great or when Africa shows up in a certain way, that collectiveness is what brings me the most joy in my life.
Yeah.
I can fully relate to that, actually, because I'm from Soweto, and a lot of people, when you ask them, so where are you from? And they say, I'm from the Eastern Cape, I'm from wherever. And when I say I'm from Soweto, people are like, yeah, but where are you from? I'm like, I'm from Soweto, because that's my direct heritage. I'm from a Soweto, Mtana Sakasi, yes, Nobutleva and whatever. But that's just to say that's who I am, that's where I can relate from.
Yes.
It's a melting pot of lots of influence from Xhosa people that I've met in Soweto, Sotho people, Tswana people, Venda people. So it's all of that in one. So I'm technically South African, and that's my pride.
What do you think about that, Doctor?
There's a folk tale about a man who had two sons, and then he disappeared, you know, and then one son became like really successful, and one son really failed dismally. And both of them, when they were asked, like, what made you so successful? And he said, it's because of my father. And the other one as well, what made you like fail so? And then he said, because of my father.
Yes.
So as much as it's important to know where you come from, you still have the responsibility to treat that history. It's still up to you how you treat that history, you know, of where you to come from. So there is that responsibility. So it doesn't matter if you come from Lalina, where I come from, or Soweto. It doesn't. You can still take pride in that, and it can still shape the person that you are. You know, if you have a vision, can still get to the vision that you want to get about yourself.
Tumi, where do you think these inadequacies come from?
I think it comes from all the influences that we have, because we tend to assume that things are a certain way, and it's black and white, there's no gray area, forgetting the amount of influence that comes into that. So moments where people feel like, because I'm a girl from Soweto, I should not be proud enough to, show my face in certain spaces, whereas that is actually what you should be proud about, because you're different. The joy is in our difference.
Doctor, I'd love to ask you this question. I find, the typical South African so maybe the word typical is not the right word, but the South African that can afford to travel, we're often traveling overseas as opposed to visiting our own continent.
Yeah.
How do we begin to see more of Africa, to trust more of Africa, to blend in more into Africa because there's a difference between celebrating Heritage Day as a South African and now Africa Day. How do we marry that?
We just have to take a decision. We just have to be conscious about it and just mean it. Like, if you look at the traveling opportunities that you have and take a decision that I'm going to do 2 African countries a year and 1 Euro, or balance, because it's important, not just, it's still important to go overseas and all that, because it still opens you up. But I think it's really important, especially for South Africans, with the recent history we've had with things like xenophobic attacks and all that. And I think it does, yes, there are the economic and political things, but also I think it does stem from not traveling enough as Africans, and just feel what it's like to be in another African country and see how you received there and all that. So I think if we do that and make a conscious decision to go to Lesotho, go to Botswana, go to Mozambique, and you'll be so surprised. So my research, my PhD study was actually on the Xhosa people in Zimbabwe, and people did not know about this, but when I traveled and while I was there, I realized that there are Xhosa people in Zimbabwe, who went there in the 1800s. Xhosa people in Botswana, Amaxhosa and Lesotho, Amaxhosa in Zambia, and so many other places. So those are the things that we don't know. I think we always make us scared of the other. So I think traveling, yes, very important. Make a conscious decision.
I like
go
that.
see an African country.
I like that. Make a conscious decision to go and see an African country. Thank you so much, guys. Pride represents our dignity. Pride represents our self-respect. And no matter how challenging life can be, it's so important to remember that everything we need is within us, and it's enough to make anyone proud. After the break, we catch up with Maji, and you don't want to miss this one, guys.
Attention, all you passionate young chefs in the making. Are you between the ages of 13 and 17? Do you love making magic in the kitchen? Then this is your chance to shine on TV. Enter to be a contestant on the Tastemaster SA Junior, made with love by Clover, and stand a chance to win 150,000 Rand. WhatsApp a video showing us your baking skills or enter on the tastemaster.co.za. Entries close 31st May. T's and C's apply.
Welcome back. His authentic and self-reflective music has earned him a loyal fan base globally, and his journey from Durban to international stages exemplifies the power of his passion and his talent. We'd love you to put your hands together for a real African icon, Majosi. Welcome to Afternoon Express. Yes.
Me!
So you got really uncomfortable when I said global and African icon. Why does that make you feel shy?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just a guy making music.
You're just a guy from Durban making music.
From Durban, yeah.
So I believe people don't actually know that Majosi is actually your real name.
You know what? I think it's a common surname in KZN, but as soon as I leave KZN, people are like, "Oh, you must be from Joburg," and I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
I'm not from Joburg. It's my surname." Yeah.
Well, beautiful, beautiful. So I have to ask you, you recently dropped your album last year. How has that been received?
Oh, it's been awesome, man. It's my first independent album. It's an album that took a lot of love and care, and I worked with a lot of friends that I admire, and it's just been awesome promoting the album and seeing people sing along to the songs and hearing stories from people's lives as it affects their lives in different scenarios. So I'm just grateful I get to do what I do.
What's the name of the album?
A Great Exchange.
A Great Exchange.
Probably the best name for an album of all time.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm very proud
He's been facetious. I don't no, it really is. It's beautiful.
Thank
and it
you.
sounds like it's really personal.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I think that's the beauty of creating art is a lot of it is personal, you know, especially when you are coming from a place of vulnerability and sharing and collaborating with people. A lot of the things that will come out are personal without even trying, you know.
Yes.
And it was just a pleasure getting to share what's going on in my life, but also share the commonalities that we all have with each other.
And we do have that, right? And that's why music is so special, because when you hear music that is vulnerable, we realize then that we're more alike than we are different,
100%.
which is so beautiful and powerful. You have lineups happening in Canada, am I right, and the UK?
Yes, yeah, I'm going to Canada very soon for a showcase festival called the Canadian Music Week, which starts from the 1st of June till like the 8th of June. Really looking forward to that. It's my third time trying to go. There's always like visa issues and COVID happened last time. So this is like I'm holding thumbs.
Awesome.
And I'm doing my first headline show in London on the 5th of July, which I've been wanting to do for years. I'm super excited.
Yes.
If anyone wants to fund me, you're welcome to help fund, because these trips are super expensive,
Yeah,
but
sure.
I'm just grateful that I get to do it. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Before you get into what you're going to be singing for us, I'd love to ask you, what does that feel like? What does it feel like to be South African? What does it feel like to be African and now to have your music so well received globally?
You know, I've been traveling a bit this year, and what I've realized is we've got something special back home. Like, I generally mean this. I know I'm here to talk about Africa and all of that, but like, I generally mean this. We have something, we've got like a little spice, we've got a vibe, we've got a rhythm that other countries just don't have.
Yes.
Like, and you know, not to say that we're better or anything, but what we have is really special, and I really hope we don't take that for granted.
Yeah.
You know, that's why there is so much attention on Africa lately, because there's something that the world wants to see. There's something that I think we've been missing and that Africa still has, and we must just cultivate that and share it with the rest of the people and remind them of who we are.
Yes. So this is what I say. Would you agree? Africa's a feeling.
100%.
Yes,
yeah.
whether you're
100%.
feeling them in the music, or you're feeling Africa in the food, or you're feeling Africa in our sports games, Africa's a feeling.
You don't even have to be doing anything in Africa. You just feel it. You're like, I see what they're talking about. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to what you're going to be singing. Please let us know. What's the song?
The Woods.
The Woods. Okay, well, take it away.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Rise up this morning, sky so clear, the storm is gone. Get up and let go of your fear, oh my dear, embrace the light of dawn. Step out of your shell and let my love dry your tears. Let my arms hold you close, 'cause you're my gold to hold and treasure. Would you lend me your heart, honestly, and guide you out of the world? and I'll shield you with my love endlessly, even when we're out of the world. Feel your heartbeat pacing and your mind's racing. Keep your head up, hold on tight to me as we watch the world fall at your feet. Step out of your shell and let my love dry your tears. Let my arms hold you close, 'cause you're my gold, golden treasure. Would you lend me your heart, honestly, I guide you out of the mud, and I'll shield you with my love endlessly, even when we're out of the world. Would you lend me your heart, honestly, I guide you out of the world, and I'll shield you with my love endlessly, even when we're out of the world.
Wow. Every time we hear you play, every time we listen to your music, we understand exactly why you're a star.
Thank you, thank you. Hopefully I'm getting better.
You are, you are. Keep practicing. We are so proud of South Africa and to be part of this beautiful continent. From its cultural heritage to its natural resources and innovation, it serves as a testament to the enduring legacy and the human ingenuity and our interconnectedness. Remember as well to vote next week and to contribute to the democracy of our country. Catch the repeat of Afternoon Express on Sunday at 8:30 a.m. and we will see you next week, Tuesday.
Say goodbye to nausea and cramps and say hello to delicious freedom with Nolax range of lactose-free milk and yogurt. Be free with lactose-free.
Another feel-good production.